Is this the Dr. Ray?
What are you asking me?
Are all people mentally ill?
I have no idea.
Boy, you hit the nail right on the head there.
Now, why would I say something so dumb?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I don't remember what I said.
You're always contagious, by the way.
Am I really that awful?
I don't care. I'm not concerned with that stuff.
And I guess that's true, but doggone.
As usual, you're doing all the talking.
Well, are you better than God?
No way.
I'm going to give you some bad news. You got a problem.
I just wanted to call and get some wise advice, hopefully.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
The older I get, the better I used to be. I think it was around age 45 when I started more of my sentences with, you know, when I was your age, usually use that with kids. Now I use it on pretty much anybody younger than me. Somebody comes up and says, I'm 50. You're a pup. Just a pup. Nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. Very privileged to be able to do this show. Never in all my earlier professional days would I have foreseen that I'd have the chance to do something like this. In the old days, just thought my dream was doing all kinds of secular media. And I did. A lot of it. And I'm hoping that it just was a springboard for me to be here with you on Catholic media. Get a chance to talk about faith, living well. You got to figure if there's a God, he knows how to live. He tells you the best way to live. And of course, much of the secular culture says, well, no, that's just constricting. Stifles your freedom. Constricts your autonomy. It frees you. When the Lord said, I've come to give you life, to give you freedom, he meant it. Doing it his way works. Psychology, whether it admits it or not, has just no end of studies that say the closer you get to living the way our Lord said to live, the more content you are. And they aren't trying to prove our Lord's words. They're just trying to go after what makes people less anxious, less depressed, more content, better marriages, better family life. Works. So I got a chance to talk about that stuff. The number to get onto the program is 877-573-7825. Now, that's not an easy number to remember. It bounces all over the place, kind of like the national anthem. That is not an easy song to sing. Whoever did it must have been snickering. I'm going to see if I can write a song here. Frankie Scott Key. Yeah, I'm going to write a song here that, you got to really know what you're doing to be able to sing it. Maybe he figured people weren't going to sing it. Maybe he figured it's just going to be played. So let's make it easier. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the same way. That's acronymically how you get here. 877-57-EQUAL. Why would you want to get here? I don't know. That's up to you. Maybe you got a question about something going on in your life. From conception to eternity, we talk about it. Conception, well, gets down in that area, gets a little fuzzy. We have to speculate a lot. And eternity, we do some speculating too, other than what our Lord has revealed to us, which is a minuscule fraction of what is in eternity. You got to trust him, I guess. It's kind of like a little baby getting thrown up in the air. Daddy catches him. He trusts him. He squeals. He's off the ground. He's way up there. You think about this. You're a 2.5-foot tall little 2-year-old. You're thrown up in the air by your dad. By that point, you're up about 7-8 feet off the ground. That should be scary as all get out. But it isn't. Why? You laugh. You giggle. You scream with delight. Why? Because you expect your dad to catch you. We got a dad always willing to catch us, even though we weigh a bit more than a 2-year-old, which is one of the reasons why somebody was talking about having our first grade reunion. There was no way I was going to go to our first grade reunion. First of all, I've gained about 110 pounds since then. People go, whoa. Oh, you hear that in the background here? And the other thing is, I don't want somebody to say, you haven't changed. You just haven't changed. You look the same. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. Many, many years ago, had a 36-year-old mom walk into my office, sit down, having a lot of trouble with her 12-year-old son. Main complaints that she had revolved around, she categorized him as lazy, ate too much of the wrong stuff, and watched too much TV. Now you can tell how long ago this was that her complaint was he was on TV. This was before. It was before the internet. We talked. Now, typically when somebody comes in and struggles with discipline, you got to find out what exactly it is that is their struggle. And is there something that is keeping them from asserting very healthy authority? So we probed. After about half hour, 45 minutes, it became clear. She felt that as a 36-year-old single mom, she ate too much. She didn't keep up her house well at all. She didn't follow through on her chores, so I guess she called herself lazy. And she spent too much time watching TV. And I asked her, do you want your son to be like you? She said, no, not at all. I said, well, what has kept you then from putting some limits on this stuff and setting up some standards? In so many words, she said, I don't have the right because I don't do it. I said, so you at age 36, who have not yet developed the standards, the self-control that you want to have about these things in particular, and there were others, don't believe you have a right to put any limits on your son unless you can actually adhere to all those limits yourself perfectly. Well, yes, everything I've ever read said that you have to walk the talk. Values are caught, not taught. She knew them. She had read the mantras. She'd heard the warnings. You don't live like you're trying to teach your kids. They're just not going to absorb it. Now, there is truth to that. If you're a flaming hypocrite and you're not making an attempt to try to live the standards you're attempting to give your children, yes, there you're going to get some resistance. You're probably going to get deception. That stuff will happen. You're not going to get respect for your standards. But if you're a human being, I'm going to assume you are, then you're trying even though you fall short. If, for example, you started smoking when you were 15, and your teenage son is 15, is it okay for him to start smoking? You did. If you have a little problem with cursing, you shouldn't. You know you shouldn't. You're trying to conquer it. Is that okay that your 11-year-old curse? I mean, you every once in a while you spout out some words you shouldn't spout out. So when your 11-year-old curses, you can't do anything about it. Your authority doesn't depend one whit upon the quality of your own walk. It certainly helps. You'll have more authority if you can get closer in your walk to what you're trying to teach. But you don't have to live everything exactly in order to teach it. I want my kids to be better than me. Nobody's going to make me write an essay if I get disrespectful. Nobody's going to take my privileges away from me. I wish they would, because if they would, maybe it would help me do better. No, I have to just more or less count on my own conscience, God's grace, self-control, maybe some maturity trickling in here and there. But nobody is going to hold me accountable unless I actually do something to someone else to be held accountable. Nobody's going to hold me accountable if I shoot off a curse word. Yeah, they might say something, but it's not holding me accountable, it's just saying something. But I don't want the kids to do that. It's not okay because I'm an adult, and it's not okay because I'm an adult and they're a kid. And at some point when they get to be an adult, then it's okay. I've seen I'm interrupting myself here. I have seen a lot of parents fall prey to this notion that unless they can perfectly walk the kinds of things they're trying to teach, that they don't have the authority to teach it. That, in fact, can corrode authority, can keep you from doing the things that are good for your kid. I had one mom, this was in a book that I had written some time ago. She said, we have a rule in our house that you're going to write an essay for disrespect. And she said, I will write an essay anytime I am disrespectful to my children. And I said, whoa, who decides disrespect? She goes, well, I do. I go, oh, you got a lot of wiggle room. She said, I know. She said, I have to be straight about it. And besides, the kids, the teens, much, much more strict in what constitutes mom's disrespect than what constitutes their disrespect. I mean, I think they think they're disrespectful if they're throwing chairs. If mom raises her voice, that's disrespect. Interesting. My wife did something similar. She used to use timeouts. And when she decided that she did something that she felt was inappropriate, she timed herself out. Yeah. Went to the bedroom, locked herself in the bedroom, in the bathroom, with a bubble bath. Oh, yeah, for half hour. And I kept saying, honey, I think I read somewhere where it's like 1 minute per year of age in timeout, and you according to this, you're 97 years old. How long you been in here? 877-573-7825. 877-57 =. That's the number. I would love to hear from you. Give me a call right now. We got open lines. Dr. Ray.
For 2,000 years, Christians have lived and worshipped in Lebanon. Today, that last stronghold of Christian faith in the Middle East is under immense pressure, violence, economic collapse, and political instability. If we want this ancient Christian community to remain, now is the moment to stand with them. Join us for the Lebanon Appeal fundraising dinner Thursday, June 25th at 6:30 at the Christ the King Parish in Ann Arbor. Learn more and register at avemariaradio.net/events.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning. Explorers Homeschool Association proudly presents Peter Pan the Musical at the Lydia Mendelson Theater in Ann Arbor, June 11th, 12th, and 13th, with all shows at 7 o'clock p.m. Tickets available at the door from $8 to $35 for a family. Kids under 5, you get in free. Never grow up. Come see Peter Pan this June. Now think of the happiest things. It's the same as having wings.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. We know personally that when a loved one passes suddenly, we are relieved that a will was already in place. At mycatholicwill.com, a legal will is as simple as 15 minutes filling out information about your family. Thanks to our partnership with mycatholicwill.com, when you use the promo code AVE, A-V-E, your will is absolutely free. No hidden costs whatsoever. Visit mycatholicwill.com.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Are you longing to hear God's voice? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking, and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord, Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Dr. Ray Guarendi here. The doctor is in 877-57-EQUAL. Get to Rose here in a moment. Did you ever see a picture of the fans in a sports stadium in the 1940s? The era of the greats. Joe DiMaggio, those fellas. Pee Wee Reese. I don't know them personally, but my great-grandfather told me about them. You notice, first of all, you don't see a whole lot of folks that are excessively overweight. Secondly, you see a great amount of suits, of hats. Dapper is the word that comes to mind to describe that picture. Sunday go to meeting clothes. What does that imply? Imply you dress up, go to church. For whatever the reason, in the last, 30, 40, 50 years in our culture, there's been this slide towards what some would think is a bothersome informality. We're just getting more and more sloppy in our approach to things across the whole board. Now, Rose is a retired teacher, and she's noticed something in her years of teaching. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Thanks for all you do.
They pay me. How can we help you, dear?
Well, I noticed among young parents, again, I'm a retired teacher, that very, very often nowadays, when they meet me or see me, they say to their kids, say hi to Rose. And I really struggle with this. I still call my elderly neighbor Mrs. Brown, and I'm 69 years old. And sometimes they say Miss Rose, which used to really bother me, but actually it's far better than just Rose. And it's so prevalent. It's everywhere. And I just need your advice. My kids personally feel I'm being too picky when I say, please call me Mrs.,
Well, who do you think you are, Rose?
Yes. Exactly.
Why do you think all that is?
Well, I think it's exactly what you said just a minute ago. The total lack of formality, a blurring of lines between adults and kids. To me, in all my years, kids are not little adults. They are kids. They are being formed. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one who notices this. And, a lot of other adults, like I was at a birthday party, and another man, when they asked, what should we call you? It was a kid's birthday party. He said, have him just call me Jim. So, I get undercut because a lot of other adults are okay with it. I am not. I'm not okay with it. And as I said, I'd rather they call me nothing than call me by my first name, truthfully.
Do you think there's been an erosion of the once understood layers of authority in our culture?
Hugely. And I saw it in the classroom. And I retired from a very good school district with an excellent principal who supported all of her teachers and backed them up and held her parents and kids accountable. But that's rare.
I do think it's very subtle, Rose, in the sense that if I call you Rose, I don't recognize or necessarily respect, and I don't mean I disrespect, I just don't respect your status. If you're older than me, I have a fellow that came out to repair an organ that I have at a nursing home, and I called him Mr. Pasco The whole time. And I found he was younger than me when I finally met the dude. He was younger than me. But I still called him Mr. Pasco. Because you know what it was? It was because he was doing something for me that was very, very valued. He was the last of his ilk. I have a Hammond organ, and they simply don't have Hammond organ repairmen anymore. Oh, sorry. Repair persons anymore, even though I've never, ever had a woman repair a Hammond organ. And I called him Mr. Pasco. I remember, do you remember the show Columbo?
Yes.
I counted one time he was talking to a perp. And Columbo was very good at looking like a doofus, and he didn't know what was going on, and he was just laying a trap. I counted one time in an exchange between him and the perp. How many times do you think he called the guy sir?
Yeah, lots.
21. 21. Yeah. I said to my wife, I said, he just called him sir 21 times. And she looked at me like, only you would count that, Raymond. And I said, well, honey, that's the 21st time you've said something like that to me. So you're right. And I don't think it's going to revert, Rose. I really don't. I just think there's this confluence of factors all just basically saying, when I was a kid, it was Father O'Leary and Monsignor McLaughlin, both their last names. Yeah. Now he would be Father Bill and Father John. Okay.
Yeah. And I still go by last names for our priests. And, when we were young, we called our grandparents by their last names. Grandma, Grandma Jardine. We didn't say Grandma Helen. I mean, I don't mind Grandma Rose. I'm not saying that. But, I mean, it's just so weird to me to have a 4-year-old, hi Rose, and I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious.
It could be worse, Rose. She could be saying, hey, Roaster, how are you doing? What's up, dude? What you doing, brah, huh? I know, and I think
I was also one of those teachers, Dr. Ray, I never high-fived. Never. I said, I'm happy to shake your hand and wish you a good day. Of course, I taught high school. But
Rose, your kids get upset at you because you're a throwback. Your kids get upset at you because you're a throwback. Yeah. There is a mindset that pervades our culture that anything that was older needs to be passed by. The way we do it now is automatically better because it's newer than any way it's been done in the past. And that's the way it is. Yeah. And that is the overall mindset that governs our culture. Newer is better. Older needs to be left behind. That's it.
Can I interject one more quick thing, Dr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am. Do you just call me Dr. Ray? Please call me Dr. Guarendi, Rose. Please? Excuse me?
I was at Mass at Corpus Christi. The young priest, wonderful priest, just got done with a wonderful sermon on we're too casual. We've got to be more, respectful, more aware that it's the real presence. The usher, who was a woman, for communion, high-fived the little kid in front of me. And I'm just sitting there going, I can't get away from this.
It's like, I can relate to you, kid. I'm at your level. You can relate to me. I know.
Yeah.
And in a subtle way, Rose.
People so enjoy you. We so enjoy Dr. Roseman. But young parents, they don't go for it. So.
Well, they don't go for it until they come into my office saying, help me. Thanks, Rose. See ya. Dr. Ray. Dr. Guarendi. Now that's a Hammond. It's a Hammond B3. Has that sound that cannot be replicated. Well, it can. Digitally, they try to replicate it. But those old tubes, again, this is the throwback. Those Hammonds are used by rock groups right now. They're not used all that much anymore. Some in small churches. But that Hammond was the elite. It was the top organ instrument of its day. And they have since not been able to perfectly replicate its sound. And it was old. The Hammond, I don't remember when it came out, but it had to be 40, 50, 60 years ago. All right, let me see. I'm looking at this. I want to see. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about. I'm looking here. I'm kind of sorting through, and I will get to everybody there. Oh, okay. All right. So, it's a good thing I waited to see Eric summarize that call, because the caller is taking a serious risk. Serious risk. I hope he knows what he's getting into, because he disagreed with me. Al, New York, Domestic Church Radio. Hello, Al.
Hello, Doctor. This is Al in Cape May, New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
And I do have to disagree, even though I respect you immensely, because my daughter is a LCSW, and we hit a wall once in a while, and I always bring your name up. But what I wanted to first say, you've given that example about your softball team a couple of times, and I have to disagree with you.
Well, you don't have to. You're going to.
I'm going to. Because you gave the example of, say, a 300 hitter who has already gotten 2 hits in the game, and he's coming up with men on base or girls on base, and the hitter behind him is maybe a 200 hitter who hasn't gotten a hit. So I think you didn't go deep enough in your analyzation of that, because if the 300 hitter already gotten 2 hits, he's only due to get one more hit in the next 7 at bat.
Oh, wait. Whoa.
The 200,
statistically, these are Al. Statistically, these are independent events. Okay, so your logic: I take a coin and I flip it, and it comes up heads 3 times.
Yeah.
You would say, well, what are the odds?
Yeah, you're arguing my point.
No, wait. Just hold on a second. No. Comes up heads 3 times. And I say, Al, what are the odds it's going to come up tails? You go, oh, it's come up heads 3 times. Oh, yeah, it's going to come up tails. I say, no, you're wrong. That's an independent statistical event. The odds are still 50-50. So if you got to do
one event, although
they're not connected,
flip will average out, will it not?
Over time, yes. Over time,
yes.
They will. But you can't say, oh, gosh, we've had 5 heads in a row. That means the odds of this next one being a tails are better than 50-50. No, they're not. It's an independent event. So the batter who comes up, and by the way, in softball, a 600 average now is what you consider a decent hitter. So the 600 average guy's already gotten 2 hits. You have to look at it like.
Preface it that I do have a math degree, and I do analyze this stuff.
Well, you should know this. You can't say. What you're saying is true if his average was dependent only upon that one game. But if this guy has a 6 out of 10 chance of getting a hit roughly every time he bats, the fact that he's gotten 2 hits before he batted doesn't lower his odds of getting another hit. He's still got a 6 out of 10 chance. Over a long haul, you might say it averages out to 600. That's the difference. So you disagreed with me at your own risk.
Because he's already gotten 2 hits. He's not
well, then you would have lost. He'd have ripped one into right center. They'd have looked at you like, what the heck are you doing pitching to their best pitcher?
So this is why degrees collide.
This is why you're a mathematician and I'm a softball coach.
One more quick one. I hate to bother you. But
yes, sir.
My daughter's an LCSW, and when I bring this up to her, and one quick, if the girl in class thinks she's a cat, I said, what do you do? And she'll say, I'll give her a glass of milk. I said, you can't do that because you're hurting her. She goes, if I tell girl what I truly believe, I'll lose my license, is her answer. How do you handle that?
It is implied in any therapy that your beliefs are going to come through. You may not distinctly say it. You may not say, therefore, I think divorce is wrong in most cases. However, the kind of therapy you practice may have a little more room towards trying to get this person to stay in the marriage if you think that's the healthiest thing for this marriage. So the idea that she's saying, I can have no values, no judgment of values in my therapy, can't be. It's not possible. Just tell her that. It's not possible. The fact that you interact with somebody, however subtly, your beliefs, your standards, your views of life are going to come through. That's what you tell her.
Who has people above her, and if she tells you what she knows in her heart is true, it may cost her her job.
It depends how she tells them. You know, if somebody comes in my office and he says, I'm going to leave my wife and kids because I met a 26-year-old. And I say, well, you are totally morally wrong. You're going to roast in hell, and you better know that. Yeah, I could be reported. But if I look at this and say there are complications right now that he hasn't considered in leaving his wife and 4 children for a 26-year-old, we better explore those. I'm not going to get reported.
Just like the baseball question.
That's legitimate therapy. Yeah, it's legitimate therapy.
Yeah, it is difficult. So I don't push her on that because I don't want her losing her job. And
well, I think she's misunderstanding. I think she's really misunderstanding what it means to to clearly push your values and morals upon a client. Now, I've had clients ask me, they've asked me for my value. They come to me because they respect the fact that I would see their worldview and understand it. So in that sense, they are requesting me to share with them how I see things according to how they see things. They're asking for that. So I think she's really kind of being too literal about all this. But you're right.
I think she's afraid. She's afraid of the culture that's out there in that profession. But anyway, if you ever get to Cape May, we could play some baseball.
I'll tell you what, I don't want you making the calls on my team. You pitched to the wrong guy.
Thank you. You've been terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Take good care of my friend. That was a fun call. 877-573-7825. 877-57 As always, it is my delight. Truly. I'm not making that up. I'm not saying that because I have to say it because I'm on the radio. My delight to talk to all you folks. Great stuff. Absolutely delighted to be able to do this. So let's go to Dorothy. And I've been to Moorhead, Minnesota. I've been there, Dorothy. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I noticed when I was there, you never came to see me, so that this call is starting on. This call is starting out with some struggles, but I will get past it.
Well, I'm not sure if I was here when you were here, so.
That hurts.
Anyways.
No, wait a minute. Look, the old. I'm not sure I was born when you were here, Raymond.
No, I've lived in other parts.
Okay.
Anyways, I have a son who has a rare genetic disorder. It's called Lessel-Kreinkamp syndrome. It was discovered in 2020 by 2 German doctors. So not much is known about it. It's a spectrum disorder that causes global delays. And in addition to that, he's been diagnosed with like a severe anxiety disorder. So,
how did they, Dorothy, how'd they come to that notion?
The anxiety disorder?
Yeah.
Or the... Well, we did a bunch of testing because the schools kind of made us. At the age of 3, in order to receive any therapy, we had to go through the school system, and a bunch of testing was required for that. That was before we had the other diagnosis. We eventually got a geneticist to work with us and fought insurance to get a huge test done. And even when that was done, I think in 2018, the disease hadn't been discovered. So a few years later, when I was again fighting with the school to get right, he was in preschool still at this time. He wasn't going to be technically getting the services that he needed. So I talked to the geneticist again about trying to figure out, see if there's any way all this stuff was put through the system again, and thankfully something popped up that a diagnosis really helps being able to get services for him.
You said he had global delays. How significant?
Well, he can, at age 3, we weren't sure if he could talk, and he is talking, pretty much across the board. So, like, fine motor stuff, I now homeschool him because school just doesn't really work for him. And I have since kindergarten. So, like, writing is difficult. The fine motor skills are very difficult. In his physical therapy, he's just recently accomplished being able to jump, getting 2 feet off the ground, and to land on 2 feet. So his reading is pretty good, actually, because he memorizes words. So it's a little hard
how about
to teach.
Language and comprehension? I know this is a rough question, but what age roughly?
I would say maybe 5. And his social skills are very low, too.
He can't read? Not really?
Oh, he can read, yes. He actually can read. That's the highest thing he can, the farthest he is educationally.
Now, these furious meltdowns is really why you called. You said recently.
Yeah, so last fall, kids have meltdowns. I have a couple older kids, so I'm familiar with that. But last fall, he had, like, meltdowns where it appears like his brain's not working well, like throw himself on the floor, yelling, screaming, pounding his fist, kicking, never hurting anyone, but just...
Sounds like his brain's working fine.
Well, he's not. It's like he's not able to be calmed. He's not.
Well, he's mad. He's major mad, and you throw in the developmental delays along with whatever self-control genetically issues are involved. That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I agree, except for up until last fall, his meltdowns were never like that.
Oh, he's getting older. He's getting bigger, and he's getting entering puberty.
I was always able to calm him down, reason with him, use lots of different calming strategies and techniques. And since last fall, there's been about 5 of those episodes. It's not happening
since last
regularly.
Fall, so that's about once every month or so.
Yeah, but it hasn't happened for the last couple months.
Oh, that's pretty sporadic.
Right. His anxiety.
You're thinking something's wrong.
No, I'm just thinking his anxiety is seeming to get worse. We have really tried kind of everything. We kind of switched our life around, as you know, with special needs kids, to kind of control the environment as best as we can to make it.
How does the anxiety manifest itself, Dorothy? How do you see it?
For example, he's scared of bugs. So it's very hard for him to go outside for his walks that we do at least twice daily to try to help with his GI issues.
Okay. It's very hard, but does he do it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He doesn't like it, makes him nervous, but he does it.
Right.
Okay, good.
Right.
You're on the right track.
Right. So, yeah, we're, just the other day, he's very scared of water, and he'll take his bath, but so we were going to clean up some of the outside toys that we had just taken out of the garage, and complete meltdown over that, to the point of crying, screaming. He can't think straight. I don't just let him get away with just leaving. I make him stay outside on the deck with me to try to talk through what's going on. But he literally could not, after about 10 minutes of this reasoning and talking through things, and I'm not even making him do anything, right? Just stay on the deck and you can watch me wash the toys off. It wasn't until I brought him in about 10 minutes later that he was able to be calm enough to even talk to me.
Okay, here's the question,
crying.
Dorothy. Here's the question. I certainly can't diagnose what's going on from here, obviously. I would wonder how much of it is related to his developmental delays, his immature self-control, which is probably genetic and neurological. Okay, there's that. That doesn't mean he doesn't have any. Okay, so that's that.
Right.
I don't know how much of it is resistance. I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. If you make me do that, I'm going to go crazy on you because I'm frustrated and my frustration will express itself. Okay, I don't know.
I can tell a big difference when it's just that and he's just throwing a fit because he doesn't want to do things. He does that on a regular basis. He doesn't ever want to go outside for his walk.
Well, it comes down to, okay, I can't do therapy here, but it comes down to what are the triggers. In other words, if you're saying, I try to make him do something that he's anxious about, is when he really erupts. When I try to make him do something he just doesn't seem to want to do, like this assignment, yeah, he's going to resist and he's going to throw a fit. I'm hearing in you some uncertainty, understandably so, about how to deal with him. And uncertainty, in many cases, makes it worse. One experiment you could try. You could tell him, we're not going to have any more fits. Not like that. You get yourself upset, you're going to go sit and calm down. I'm not going to reason with you. I'm not going to try to calm you down. If you throw a major league fit like that, you have to understand for the next day, whatever you ask for is going to be no. Whatever privilege, it's going to be no. You can't do that. Because what you're doing is you're trying to assess how much control he can exhibit. Now, having dealt with hundreds of kids like this, my experience has been the majority of them can assert more self-control than their parents give them credit for. Very true. The anxiety may or may not be coming from the genetic condition. It may simply be in his mind, these things really bother me, and therefore I want no part of them. And if I'm made to have part of them, then I'm going to do this. The fact that they call it a general anxiety disorder doesn't, how should I put this? It doesn't really help you because it's just a label. It basically says he's got a lot of anxieties and they flow together. There's a bunch of them. Okay? So, and you didn't say this, but here's my guess. He comes up with new ones. Ones he hadn't had before. And now all of a sudden he's got one. Yes?
No, because it's a very, like these...
He wasn't afraid of bugs before. When he was 5, was he afraid of bugs?
Oh, he's been afraid of the outside for a very long time.
Okay, but this stuff, it came. There were times when he wasn't. It seems.
But these huge meltdowns aren't necessarily about...
Okay.
I mean, they are about some of anxiety. Some of it is like other things that have not gone his way and he can't handle it. Well,
then here's the question. Many parents will do this. They will say, I can't sort out how much of this is provoked by his particular special needs condition and how much of it is behavioral resistance. Only God could do that. The shrinks can't. So at some point, the parent has to experiment. It's like the 3-year-old who doesn't want to go to bed because she's screaming she's scared. How much of it is scare and how much of it is bedtime resistance? It's hard to know. Okay? So the parent still has to take action. In your case, Dorothy, you're probably going to have to take some action because it sounds like when he does these meltdowns, there really isn't any kind of consequence. You just hope he calms down and he settles himself down and then you move on with life. But he's not learning to assert whatever self-control he can because he lets it all hang out. And so, again, I can't say from this distance. But what you can do is you can try a little experiment here. You can tell him, when you throw these fits, here's what I'm going to do. And see what happens. I got to let you go. They're going to nag me for a break. Dorothy, thank you for the call, dear. This is Dr. Ray.
Get ready. Something big is happening in Brighton. The Shamrock Festival at St. Patrick Catholic School on Orndorff Drive is this weekend, Friday through Sunday. Enjoy carnival rides, games, live entertainment, food, a beer tent, and fun for all ages. Saturday, the Knights of Columbus Center will be at 4:30. Sunday, outdoor mass at 11 a.m. at St. Patrick's School behind Meyer in Brighton. For more on the Shamrock Festival, visit stpatrickcatholicparish.org.
What are the three parables Jesus tells about prayer in St. Luke's Gospel? The first is what the Catechism calls the importunate friend. This is the friend who wakes a pal at midnight in order to borrow 3 loaves of bread to feed a visitor. The second parable the Catechism labels the importunate widow, who persistently pleads for her rights from a reluctant judge till the wearied judge rules in her favor. This parable illustrates the need to pray always and with the patience of faith. Jesus closes this parable with the poignant question, when the Son of Man comes, will he find any faith on the earth? The third parable centers on the Pharisee and the tax collector, commending the tax collector for his humility because he asked God to be merciful to me, a sinner, a prayer which the Church adopts as its own. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Listen, Daily Saints. Be inspired to follow in the footsteps of the saints. You can subscribe to receive The Daily Saint. That's featuring a brief biography delivered to your inbox every day. If you start now, you can let the intercession and the witness of the saints draw you closer to God. Want it? It's available. EWTN.com. / Ooh, I always get nervous, with the language / Maybe you should say forward leaning. Daily Saint. And by the way, little tidbit here from Andrew Kruchek. He looked it up when Dorothy was calling from Moorhead, Minnesota. The city was named for a guy named William Galloway Moorhead. He was an official of the Northern Pacific Railroad. Isn't that interesting? Back in the old days, man, you could just be somebody somewhere and you get a whole city named after you. Not like now, you drive down the street and you see a street called Brittany. Then you drive a little further and you see a street called Jonathan. And you drive a little further and you see a street called Sarah. Yeah, you got to figure, whoever developed that development was naming it after his kids or his grandkids or his cousins or whomever. Not a whole city. Although there is a city in New Mexico called Hobbs. Hobbs, New Mexico. My nickname in softball was Hobbs. As opposed to Roy Hobbs, the natural, I was Ray Hobbs, the unnatural. But when I spoke in Hobbs, New Mexico. And I took a picture of it, sent it to my wife, said, look, they got the whole city named after me. All right, just about a minute here to comment. This is such a struggle for so many parents with special needs kids. Because the special needs alters their approach. It alters their judgment. It alters their security. It alters their sense of, I have to deal with this, because they're afraid. They're nervous. They're second-guessing about, but what if? What if he can't control himself? The problem with that what if is, if you say he can't control himself, zero self-control, you're in big trouble. So is he. Because this is something that's only going to get bigger and badder in its expression. And then what? You got to assume there's some level of self-control still there. Or you can teach some level of self-control. You get a big dog, and that dog is naturally aggressive. You can teach oftentimes that aggressiveness out of that dog. That dog doesn't understand not to be aggressive, but you're teaching it through consequences, through structure. I had some children, when we adopted them, who had not been disciplined for years. So you could simply say, my gosh, they had no self-control. And they didn't. It's okay. We had to impart self-control. We had to hold them accountable for their conduct. We had to. And we did. And they responded. Maybe not as quick as we would like. Maybe not as quick as a kid who had been disciplined. But you still got to, in most cases, actually all cases, pretty much, make the effort. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Ray. I appreciate your company. Walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.